Being Kliff Kingsbury must be pretty nice, all things considered. Despite a fairly mediocre track record as a coach throughout his entire career, people cannot stop offering this guy jobs. And it's all based on what? Like a loose affiliation to Patrick Mahomes nearly a decade ago? Come on. The latest stop for the former Arizona Cardinals head coach is Las Vegas, where he was hired to be their offensive coordinator. How did he land such a sweet gig? Well, it wasn't based on results. That is for damn sure. When you look at his coaching career, it produces perhaps one of the more underwhelming profiles you'll see. But don't take my word for it, though. Let's go over it and you determine for yourself. As Arizona Cardinals head coach, he went 28, 37, and 1. As Texas Tech head coach, he went 35 and 40. Last season, as senior offensive analyst at USC, the Trojans were an extremely disappointing 8 and 5. Even when he's had success, there's a bit of an asterisk next to it. Take his stint as offensive coordinator for Texas A&M. The Aggies went 10 and 2 with Kingsbury leading what was an exciting offense. Notice 10 and 2, not 11 and 2, because he didn't coach the team in the Cotton Bowl. That aside, though, you can't really give him all of the credit. It's not like Johnny Manziel was studying his playbook or executing well-designed game plans here. His whole deal was improvisation. I guess Kingsbury does get some credit for keeping him under wraps for an entire year. That was something. Prior to his time in College Station, Kingsbury would spend 4 years with the Houston Cougars in various roles. The Conference USA side would go 35 and 17 during his tenure. Solid, but not exactly groundbreaking by any stretch of the imagination. Teams Kingsbury has coached in one form or the other throughout his career have compiled a record of 117 wins, 101 losses, and 1 draw. That is it. Now, there is one point I definitely want to make here. Not everything is his fault. I can't blame Kingsbury for everything that has gone wrong with teams he's been associated throughout the years. He hasn't always been coaching all areas of the team. Simply dumping all of this mediocrity at his doorstep is unfair. We do have a common denominator here, though, that can't be ignored. When Kingsbury is on a coaching staff, things do not go all that well. Now, he isn't to blame for everything, but for some reason, when he's in the kitchen, when he's one of the chefs, you're just not going to win as many games as you'd like, historically speaking. The big misnomer when it comes to Kliff Kingsbury's coaching career is that he is this offensive guru, this quarterback whisperer, this passing game savant, and that I just don't believe for a second. This is almost exclusively due to the fact that he coached Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech in like 2016, 2015. We're pretty far removed from when Kingsbury was working with Mahomes. Yet it's basically anything anyone wants to talk to when they're championing Kingsbury as a head coach. He was the guy who developed Mahomes. He's responsible for Patrick Mahomes. The logic, though, it just doesn't track. There's nothing behind it that suggests that Kingsbury had this huge impact on Patrick Mahomes' career. Did he have a role? Yeah, but it wasn't. He's not the end-all be-all here, people. If that's the logic we're going to use here, if that's the line of thinking we are leveraging, then it should also extend to former Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, should it not? Yet everyone wants to say Mahomes made him and not the other way around. Should that not also apply to Kingsbury, though? I mean, maybe it's just Mahomes is this generational talent, and whoever is around him as a coach looks good because he's the man. Yet Bieniemy could only latch on with one of the most dysfunctional NFL teams last season, and people just stumble over themselves to hire Kingsbury. What are we doing here? When I think about Kliff Kingsbury as a head coach, though, I always go back to a game I saw in person. That was a Week 6 showdown between the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks at Lumen Field in the 2022 season. At this point in time, the Cardinals are 2-3. We're still very early in the regular season. Everything is left to play for. Meanwhile, Seattle, not a particularly good team yet. Obviously, they were still finding their feet under Geno Smith. We know they would eventually go to the playoffs, but they weren't there just yet. Anyway, I always like to get to the stadiums early, just observe everything that's happening, but especially watching warm-ups, just watching the players out on the field before the game. And on this occasion, I saw something I have never seen in my life at any sort of level of football when watching the sideline, watching players warm up. There was absolutely no sort of team vibe to what the Cardinals were doing. It was just this loose collection of individuals. It was very cliquish. It made no sense to me. Normally when you're watching a team warm up and on the sidelines, there's definitely this collective there. That's what makes football football. On this day, though, the Cardinals, it felt like we're at a college party where people were just off in random places doing random things. No one seemed to be taking anything particularly serious. I have never forgotten that, and to me, it speaks volumes to Kingsbury's coaching style, his coaching methods, and all of that stuff. It's really just Kliff Kingsbury as a coach in a nutshell. No accountability, no substance, nothing to make you believe he actually knows what he's doing as a football coach in any position whatsoever. That, by the way, is not just the optic. It's not just going and observing something. His record also bears that out at this point. Really, what is Kingsbury's claim to fame? What is separating him from other coaches in the NFL or college football? Usually people will point and say his offenses, but it's not like he's masterminding these offensive juggernauts, these historically great offensive units. Sure, they've been good at times, obviously with Manziel and Texas A&M. Texas Tech had a few incredible years with Mahomes at the helm, but by and large, you're getting above average units. Good, but hardly the end of the world. We've also seen on plenty of occasions, Kingsbury doesn't necessarily maximize his talent. His strategies aren't always foolproof or what they should be. It's very hit and miss overall. I mean, his whole career is really hit and miss. And usually when he's hitting, he has a great quarterback. And when he's missing, he doesn't have that elite passer. Despite all of this, Kliff Kingsbury keeps falling upwards into nice, cushy jobs. The most recent of these with the Las Vegas Raiders as their offensive coordinator. For all intents and purposes, Kingsbury should be rebuilding his coaching career as like an offensive coordinator at a G5 school or as a positional coach in the NFL. He should really be out there earning his stripes, proving he can actually coach something. Because right now, his body of work overall shows someone that may not necessarily know what they're doing. You're telling me there isn't a more deserving candidate in the entire football landscape, that there aren't people who are smarter or better or have more potential than Kliff Kingsbury? I refuse to believe that. I just don't think that is the case. Some of you are just going to dismiss this out of hand, saying it's the Raiders, they do dumb things. And absolutely, you are 100% correct. The Raiders make stupid moves like this. But still, I mean, how does Kliff Kingsbury keep getting hired for these high level, these cushy gigs? I don't get it. Can someone out there please explain it to me? Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to know more about sort of the weird history of Pittsburgh Steelers quarterbacks, well, check out the video right there, upper right hand corner of your screen. Until next time, I am Shane Hollis. This is the Touchback, and as always, hashtag take it out to the 25.